Have you ever said something to your partner in the heat of the moment that you immediately wished you hadn't said, and you started backpedaling, trying to take the words back, but it was too late? Well, if you can relate, you know how easily anger can damage your relationship and how hard it can be to undo that damage later on. So, in anticipation of my online seminar that you registered for, in this bonus training series, we're going to learn some useful ideas to help you out when you're angry at your partner, so you don't do damage to your relationship. So the first thing we need to understand about anger is that it's just an emotion. It isn't inherently dangerous or bad. In fact, anger can actually do a lot of good in the world. Look at Mother Teresa, for example. She was a very angry lady, and she used her anger to right many wrongs. Aggression, on the other hand, is a behavior, and that can hurt or be dangerous. So here's how I think about aggression. Aggression is anger directed at somebody else. So if you're muttering angrily to yourself, boy, I wish I'd never done that, your partner won't feel threatened because you're not being aggressive with them. But if you were to point your finger angrily and yell at them, why the hell did you do that? Right? That's aggression, because you're taking your anger and you're directing it at someone else. Now, aggression also isn't bad, and it has a place. For example, if someone's attacking you, well, aggression might be an appropriate response. But in a romantic partnership, aggression will kill the connection and the feeling of safety between you. So what does aggression look like? Well, it can take the form of sarcasm or criticism or yelling or rolling your eyes in contempt or just ignoring your partner, pretending they're not there, or even stonewalling, which is just refusing to talk about making things better. So what I want you to take away from this is that anger is okay as long as it doesn't turn into aggression. Got it? Good. Okay. The second big idea I want to share with you is that all emotions want to move from inside of us to outside of us. And when we don't allow them to naturally move through us, they build up and build up inside of us until eventually they escape in ways that, well, let's just say, aren't very pretty, okay? So here's an obvious example. Sadness moves from inside to outside with tears. But if we don't allow ourselves to cry and move it outside of us, it builds up and builds up until we end up depressed. But if we cry, the sadness moves and we feel better afterwards. See how that works? Now the same thing applies with anger. Anger also wants to move from inside to outside of us. So when we're angry, we naturally scowl, we clench our fists, perhaps we yell or we run away, or if we're really angry, we might punch or kick. But once our anger's moved, we feel a release, and then we naturally relax and we calm down. But what happens in our culture when we scowl at people, when we clench our fists at them, when we yell at them, when we punch them or we kick them? Well, on one hand, we get sent to anger management classes. On the other hand, we get put behind bars, okay? And because expressing anger is considered an antisocial behavior, anger is one of our emotions that rarely ever gets to move from inside to the outside. Instead, we just stuff it down and it builds up like a pressure cooker in our body until one day it boils over like a volcano erupting and comes out as, you guessed it, aggression. Of course, our aggression scares people, confirming their fears that anger is, in fact, dangerous. And if we get aggressive with our partner, they'll soon begin to see us as a threat, and then they'll erect a protective wall around their heart to protect themselves from being hurt by the one person they most trusted to protect them, you. Now, after you've let your anger out as aggression, you might feel better for a little while until you realize that you've hurt your partner. And then shame and guilt creeps in. And that's when we promise ourselves that we will never, ever, ever let our anger out like that again. So we double down on repressing it. Can you see how this vicious cycle perpetuates itself? So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to regularly move our anger from inside to outside before it ever builds up and erupts as aggression. But how do we do that safely? Well, anger naturally moves through us by scowling, by clenching our fists, by yelling, by running, by punching, by kicking. But in order to prevent our anger from turning into aggression, we've got to do those things in a way that doesn't direct our anger anywhere near our partner nor anyone else. Okay? So next time you're angry with your partner, here's what I suggest. Don't go and talk to them about it just yet. Instead, do one of these first. Find a quiet, private space. I like to use my car or a bathroom, and then clench your fists and yell, "I'm angry!" Right? Now, if you can't find a quiet place away from other people, yell into a pillow so no one can hear you. Then you're going to breathe deeply to calm down your nervous system. Now, you might need to yell, "I'm angry," and breathe deeply a few times until all the anger is released. Now, of course, this isn't the only way you can release anger. You might want to go for a run because physical exercise lets it out too, or go to the gym and push some weights, or punch and kick a punching bag. Once you've moved your anger, only then go and talk to your partner about what happened. Got it? Okay. Now, in the next video I've prepared for you, I'm going to show you exactly what to say to them when you do go and talk to them. So in summary, it's healthy to get your anger out. Just don't let it out at your partner's expense. Get it out in private. That way, they're not going to feel threatened and you won't damage the safe space between the two of you. And if you talk vulnerably with them about what's going on underneath your anger, which I'll show you how to do in the next bonus video training, you'll be able to talk through your issues and resolve them without hurting each other, and you'll feel closer afterwards. Was that useful? I hope so. I'm going to share a lot more helpful ideas like this in the online seminar you registered for, so make sure you set an alarm on your phone to remind you to show up. Till then, stay awesome, and remember this: if it isn't love, it's just a misunderstanding.